Oh, what's up, guys? Welcome to a tourist episode. So we're in probably the most famous spot in Southern Oregon, the Samuel Boardman area. We're at the natural arches, which are just right down there, and this is the viewpoint. But this is obviously just the boardwalk viewpoint. There's another really sketchy one to get down to, which is the Instagram famous one. That camera lady and I just don't know if we're really physically willing to do that right now because my knee is messed up and her hip is messed up, and I don't know. So I'm really struggling because this composition isn't great. It's kind of cool, but let me show you what's up and at least tell you how I'm dealing with it. So I've got this guy. This is my Freewell 3 to 7 stop dark CPL. It's just it's like the one filter I carry because I don't like to carry filters. So I've got that on 7 stops because it's really bright, and when you're shooting far away, like down at the ocean, and there's like, if you're not trying to capture waves and get the slow, cool stuff with the, either going around the rocks, or if you're not trying to freeze the waves, then when I'm shooting away from it, I like to have like a longer exposure to smooth out the entire surface of the water. So I've got a 7 stop on, I'm at 25 seconds, and I got my CPL adjusted, except for I just unadjusted it. And now I'm just gonna take the shot. Right now I'm gonna bracket because obviously we're like an hour from sunset, so it's too bright. If we were gonna stay here too, blue hour would be better because there's no clouds. So when there's no clouds, there's also no potential of a sun star because it's in the wrong direction. You guys know how much I love sun stars. So that's unfortunate. Basically that means that the only trick left in my bag would be a blue hour shot. And so that's looking pretty nice as far as it goes, I guess. I don't know if I want to stick around here until blue hour because camera lady saw a couple of places just a little bit further south. So maybe let's go see what else we can find without trying to kill ourselves. All right, so we're at lookout number 2. I think it's called like the Whalehead viewpoint or something. It's over there. Whalehead's a big rock out in a big sea stack out there. But like to get to it, you got to go through this foresty bit, and I just like slammed on the brakes because check this out. All right, so here's my composition-ish. Like I like these guys down here, and then I love the vertical bits of that tree. But here's the saving part. Like look at the difference. So this is with no circular polarizer. And just look how harsh and everything, and unsaturated. Now if I turn it and get it right, look at those greens popping, the light being cut down. Look at that. That's what we're talking about. This is just one of those things where I think I at least tend to forget about circular polarizers because I don't live where there's green things and like woods and stuff. But they're really powerful in this kind of situation. And to cut down on this glare, the sun's coming through, to make these greens pop, and just to really help out that whole dynamic range. I don't know if the image is going to be any good. I really love the vertical lines of the tree. I'm not even going to bother to put my tripod out for this one. I just wanted to get the shot because it's pretty. And now we're going to walk through this crazy forest. I do have the 500 in here, so I'm hoping when we get down there, if we have some good potential. Wow, look at that. If we have some good potential for sea stack, seascape, birds, that kind of stuff, I did bring the 500. So the circular polarizer isn't going to help in this case because I'm shooting with the sun in my back. You really want a 90-degree angle or somewhere very close to that. Another thing that another reason why I don't use tripods so much is because like once you put your tripod down, you're really limiting yourself, and it'll be really hard for you to find extra compositions. So if I just stay moving like this, then maybe I'll find something that I wouldn't have seen if I would have just put the tripod down. All right, so here's what we're looking at. We made it down to the beach. So we've got this beautiful S-curve river, and then we've got the Sun Star, and then the cliff over there. This is kind of nice, like that. What we don't, this is one of those instances where you really got to check if you want your polarizer or not, because like, look how dark it's getting, and I actually might want to use the reflection to brighten this up a bit. So I might actually turn the polarizer down. I'm at f/16 ISO 3200, just again because I don't want to use my tripod, because I can't emphasize like how lazy I am. I like the horizontal in this case because there's a lot going on, and I think this might actually be pretty. I'm gonna go for a little bit overexposed. I'm okay with that. I don't know if I want to chop that very right cliff out and just have this and this, because if I put the right cliff in, it puts the sun more of on a third, and I don't know that, you know, you don't always have to follow the rule of thirds. A lot of times I like to do things dead center or whatever, but in this case, I think the rule of thirds feels really nice for that sun and adds balance to that thing. That thing adds balance to this stuff right here. So I kind of like that a lot. You kind of have to shift as the sun goes down so that you can keep your sun star. Well, I guess I'll just keep walking around and doing this same thing. I do want to get some backlit waves crashing. I've got the 500 in my bag, and I want to shoot some waves, backlit waves crashing, and maybe get some birds flying over the waves. That might be really pretty. Well, there are birds out there on the islands. I see them flying around. I don't see anything too close. I left my 1.4 teleconverter in Camera Lady's bag, and we left that in the car. So crop mode and 500 will be 800 f4. That'll have to do it for today. All right, let's see what we can get. All right, I think I've about shot the Sun Star to death, which is surprising for me to say, but I think it's time for it's big boy time. And get the 500 out and see if I can. There's some gulls flying by, but more importantly, there's still some backlit waves, and I don't know, we're just gonna see what we can do. Put my fancy new strap here. There we go. Okay, we are I like this Peak Design strap because it slides really nicely, and it makes it easy for me to do that. So now I should probably put a lens cap back on this, huh? Now we're ready. like sliding under the strap. That's awkward. That's effective though. Still works. All right, now I'm gonna see if I can pick off stuff from the coastline, waves crashing, you know, whatever I can see with a 500. Alright, so we're back home. I clearly didn't wrap it up out there. I thought I was going to film, we had another day planned, and I was going to film the last part of this video at a different beach, and that didn't work out, as many things didn't on that trip. This was the third and final video of that trip, and I don't think any of them went exactly the way that I envisioned in my head, but they're all here, they're all out. Anyways, I just want to take a couple minutes, and I'm not going to do an editing session for this one. I just want to go over a couple of the photos that I got and show you some that I didn't film, and then kind of talk about the wide versus super tele thing. Obviously too, for super tele you don't need a 500 f4, but it did end up coming in handy for those couple of few tighter shots. I mean, even if I would have had my little RF 100 to 400, that would have been perfect for doing the landscape long lens stuff because it's super tiny, compact, lightweight. I could have handheld it if I wanted to. I could have put it on a tripod if I wanted to, but I didn't. I had what I had. The ginormous 500. It does give good quality images though, I'll give it that. I also wanted to ask you guys, do you ever do multiple crops of images? I do that a lot, and it's because I have a lot of different mediums that I want to see an image on, and it doesn't always work one crop, you know, one ratio for all mediums. So I did this first image and I shot it regular landscape, which was a 3x2, but then or a 2x3, whatever. But then I cropped it to just a regular 16:9 because I still thought that fit the image really well and I liked it. But then also recently I got a new monitor for my desktop, and it's an ultra wide, and it's a 34-inch ultra wide, and the ratio is like 43:18 or whatever. It's really close to 21:9, but it's technically 43:18. So I made another crop of this image. I will say that when I put this on my desktop, I really, really liked it. I've also just been really enjoying panos lately. I mean, there's never been a time in my life where I haven't enjoyed panos, but definitely like with beach scenes and with like dense forests and like the redwoods when I did this shot here, I really enjoy that forced pano. And I talked about that when I edited this image in the first redwoods episode. So if you haven't seen that and you're interested in redwoods, big trees, landscapes, a little bit of birding, you can check that episode out. Okay, so still talking about wide angle lenses. I think there's a couple more that I just want to look at. This one I thought was pretty cool. It is lacking more of a foreground, even though it does have the waves. I tried to get it to where there was a couple of waves in there, so where you could see something that's breaking it up. It is a little dark on the right side, getting more of that C-stack on the right than on the left. And if I would have thought about it a little more, I maybe would have done an actual pano again and made that balance a little bit better. The main thing I was looking at the time when I was shooting out there was definitely the Sunstar, that middle rock in the very middle, and then trying to get a bird. And I did. I got that bird flying across, and I could have moved him in Photoshop to be like really particular, but I just didn't want to do that, like, because he's just barely off center, you know, and I could have moved him just a little bit, but I'm gonna leave it like that. That's how it was, and that's cool. This is another one of those images where I made the forced pano too, because I wanted to see what it would look like again on my desktop and just as a pano in general. Okay, let's get to the twilight stuff. So blue hour, I think this next couple of shots might have been my favorite images. So I went back to that river as we were walking out and I got this shot. I wish there was like another C stack to the left, camera left, to balance that out a little bit. But I just love the colors and the S curve of the river and the blue hour colors over the sky and everything. So overall, I'm still pretty happy with it. All right, so this one is probably my favorite shot from that evening. And this was a handheld focus stack. So I took 3 images handheld again at like ISO, 6400 f2.8, like a 40th of a second or something. And I focused on the flowers, on the middle where the river is, and then on the back where the horizon is. And then just stacked those, and I think that it came out really nice. I think it's like there's a lot going on, but at the same time, I feel like it is clean enough to look at. The one little white flower there in the middle, and the last light kind of illuminating that, the light on the river draining into the water, and then the beautiful colors, and then that C stack to balance it out. So I took that while we were hiking back out to the car after we had already stopped filming, and then I took this one when we got a little bit further. We got back into the trees, so the trees create this nice frame. You got a little bit of a pathway going down in there. And I do like this. I think it's kind of cool. Gives me that Secret Garden vibes, which I always loved Secret Garden as a kid and even today. So this gives me good vibes, but I think overall I still don't like it as much as the last one with the single, that was cleaner and with the more flowers. But I think it's part of a carousel or as part of a story. If you wanted to showcase that, I think that's really cool to do. So another one that I'm pretty happy with in the context of just capturing the memories, capturing the stories, and then adding to the other shot to really make that as a whole, or just as a little bit more of a story. All right, so I did grab a few images from the 500. I think I already put one of them in the video, but let's take a look at a couple of those. Mostly I was trying to get these waves crashing as the sun was setting. And so I like this one. Again, this was handheld, so it was really difficult to do it in one exposure. So I kind of had to mess around with that, and I did boost the shadows quite a bit on this. But other than that, other than boosting the shadows and the saturation, I did almost nothing to this image. So I thought that was kind of cool. And then, well, I did crop it to a 16:9, of course. All right, so here's when I started to line it up, and I was trying to get these big waves crashing over this rock, and they never really went like huge or anything, but I did get a couple of good splashes. This is one of those ones where it was a little overexposed, and trying to drop those highlights would have hurt it even more. So this one is a little brighter, but I still think it came out nice with the wave crashing and with the sun lining up. It felt really good. And then this is the last one that I got that came out really well. A good sized wave, and I love the way that the wave is kind of wrapping around the sun here, and I love the optical illusion of the sun with the mini sun on top. I love doing that kind of stuff, and that's what you want a really long lens for. All right, well, that's all the images. So let me know what you guys think. Did I get anything good? Do you guys ever crop like a bunch of different crops? I think you should give it a try. That's one of the best ways to really get an understanding of composition and like what elements are doing within the frame and stuff like that, is just crop what you already have. And I'm definitely a proponent of shooting different stuff out there, in a scene. If you find one composition, I'm definitely a proponent of doing the landscape version, doing the vertical version, maybe doing a pano. It's just sometimes you don't always have time. I was just too busy. There was too much going on, and I was trying to do too much at once. Like if you were to go out to that beach and you say, okay, I'm just going to do one thing, that would be really good. But I knew that I didn't have much time, and I knew that I wanted to do both. So I tried to do both wide and super tele. And maybe that hurt me a little bit, but I still had a great time out there. All right, I'm going to wrap it up here. If you made it this far, I really appreciate it. Thanks for watching. If you're enjoying what I'm doing and you're picking up what I'm putting down, then check out the channel memberships. It's a great way to support the channel. A lot of extra content over there. One of the channel members asked me recently, because of this trip, when I was shooting the warblers and stuff, and I was shooting in like the 500 in the dark forest, and I was doing it like handheld at like 200th of a second or whatever, and they were like asking me for tips on handheld sharpness stuff. Long story long, I'm gonna make a tutorial on that for the channel members. That'll be the next thing coming up for the channel members. So Dan, if you're watching this, I got you. I'm gonna get to that this week, I promise. Because next week I'm going to Scotland, so I got a lot of stuff to get done. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.